Hey guys, welcome back. For those of you who are new here, my name is Brittany. Welcome to Grit and Groceries. My channel is all about helping people with digestive issues and IBS reduce their symptoms and improve their lives through dietary and lifestyle modification. So typically on this channel, we focus on doing that through low FODMAP recipe tutorials. So I thought we would do something a little bit different today. One, because I'm pretty cooked out after Thanksgiving, and two, I was scrolling across YouTube and I saw that Abby Sharp did a video where she tries the low FODMAP diet. For those of you who don't know, Abby Sharp is a pretty popular dietitian here on YouTube, and she reacts to other people's like what I eat in a day videos. It's either like celebrities or like influencers and stuff, and she like judges their diets pretty hard. So I thought it would be fun to watch her do the low FODMAP diet. I thought it'd be fun for us to do it together. I'm also trying to think of a couple other forms of content that I can make for you guys on this channel other than recipe tutorials. So let me know how you like it down in the comments, and let's get into it. So first, looking at her thumbnail, it's so hard. I don't know. I don't really agree with that. And I don't really like that thumbnail because I feel like I've tried really hard on this channel to make the low FODMAP diet like easy and accessible and simple for you guys. So I feel like this thumbnail like intimidates people from trying something that could really change their lives like it did for me. But yeah, let's watch the video.
Beans, magical fruit. The more you eat, the more you... Hey everyone, I'm Abby Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. Today's vlog is sponsored by FODMAP, and I'm gonna be taking you with me through my very long low FODMAP elimination diet and trial. But first, let me tell you about my sponsor, FODMAP Foods. So FODMAP was a game changer for me in this process. As a super busy person,
I agree. Like finding the low FODMAP chicken soup base, game changer for me.
Now with 2 kids and a business to run, I was really honestly quite anxious about starting this whole low FODMAP trial because I knew how much from scratch cooking I would probably have to do.
True. I have mentioned this before in my videos, in my Monash low FODMAP app update video, how the real key to gut health is home cooking. It really is.
Like onions and garlic are 2 of the main sources of FODMAPs that I would have to eliminate in the first phase.
For sure.
And onion and garlic are in everything.
Yeah.
So I don't honestly always have time to make every single sauce and seasoning from scratch. So I was really worried about having to eat basically everything super boring and super bland. But FODMAP has...
I think I've proven to you guys on this channel that food does not have to be boring and bland without garlic and onion.
A wide range of products that make eating low FODMAP so much easier and more enjoyable. And that allows people with food sensitivities to say yes to flavors that they already love. So they have salsa, sauces, dressings, spice seasoning mixes, and oils, all of which are certified low FODMAP by the Monash Institute.
You guys, like, yes, they're certified low FODMAP. It can be helpful in a bind, but ultimately, like, it's still processed. And that's like why I don't really use a whole lot of these things on my channel. But like I said, I do really like the chicken soup base. And like I said, it can be very helpful in a pinch, in emergencies. I'm really not trying to sell you guys stuff. I'm trying to help you. And I'm trying to help you transform your gut health. And honestly, like, it's really hard to monetize that. Like,
Also, you can pause my screen to read my disclaimer, but I do want to flag that I do not, I repeat, do not recommend that everybody eat a low FODMAP diet without speaking to your doctor and dietitian. This is a therapeutic diet process which should be carefully monitored and structured by a professional. And it's not meant to be a lifelong diet.
All right, a few things. So I was not a dietitian, or I was not a nutritionist when I tried this diet. I was just a normal person like you on YouTube looking for answers to my digestive issues. It's completely doable and completely manageable without seeking the help of a registered dietitian. And honestly, I did speak with a dietitian probably back in 2017 about my digestive issues, and I mentioned the low FODMAP diet to her, and she really didn't know much about it. She gave me like a printout and that was it. So, I mean, maybe it's more popular now and you might be able to get more help, but I don't think it's necessary.
This video may also be triggering to those with histories of restrictive eating, so feel free to skip this if it's not supportive to your journey. So I want to start by very quickly explaining what the heck a low FODMAP elimination trial is and why you shouldn't all race out to start this as a weight loss fad. So
it's definitely not for weight loss. But one thing I will say, like, you do not need to jump straight to the low FODMAP diet. There are a ton of things that you should cut out first. Processed food being the main one. Like, if you stop eating garbage, then like, I feel like the vast majority of your symptoms will resolve themselves. If after that you're still having issues with bloating, then yes, you could probably look into a low FODMAP diet. And you might also even want to try eliminating gluten and dairy first, because that really clears up problems for a lot of people.
FODMAP stands for fermentable oligomonosaccharides and polyols. So these are short-chain carbohydrates that are poorly digested, so they often sit and ferment in the intestine where they can cause gas, diarrhea, cramps, and bloating.
They're also hydrophilic, meaning they love water, they draw water into the intestine. So when you've got a lot of excess water in there and it's creating gas through fermentation, like that can be really uncomfortable. And that's what's causing like the pain, the bloating, and the diarrhea. And I went over this in my What Are FODMAPs video a couple of years ago. So I'll link that down below for you guys.
Since giving birth, I've been dealing with really severe gas, distension, and painful bloating. And it just seems like it's been getting worse since I did my first video on the topic.
I wonder if they injected her with antibiotics when she was giving birth, because that's something that is common if you've tested positive for GBS. And if you do a course of antibiotics, like that is definitely going to flare up your IBS symptoms, because it's like throwing off your entire microbiome. It's like killing it. So yeah, I wonder.
Which you can watch right here. So after the holidays, I decided that if there was ever a time to do an elimination diet, it would probably be easiest when we're in lockdown in, COVID times, and I'm not being invited out every single weekend for dinner with friends. Yeah. So I hired my colleague, Ali Kugler, who specializes in digestive nutrition, and she helped me safely go through a 3-step protocol with her motivation and support. Also, I think it's really strange that when I mentioned that I had an RD on my Instagram post, so many of you said that it was like so meta that a dietitian would need to see a dietitian. But honestly, why not? Like, therapists see therapists and professional athletes have athlete coaches. We all need mentorship and support to grow and to see the bigger picture.
I guess,
but I
like,
think
if
this
you want to
serves
do
as a really
that,
good reminder to all of you that even if you think you know what you're doing with this diet, it's actually very complicated, intense, and requires a lot of dedication and work. And therefore, I do strongly urge getting professional assistance to ensure that you're not unnecessarily restricting and also still meeting your nutrient needs.
I will say, like, it does require a lot of work and a lot of dedication, but I really don't think it's that complicated. And yeah, I feel like I've worked really hard to make this like simple and easy and accessible for you guys. So yeah, I guess we'll see what she means.
Okay, so back to FODMAPs. There are different classes or categories of FODMAPs, each of which have a variety of major food sources. So the common FODMAPs include fructose, which is found in foods like honey, asparagus, pears, ripe banana, and apples. Lactose, found in dairy products like milk, cheese, and ice cream. Fructans, which are found in foods like garlic, onions, cabbage, and also in grains like wheat. Galacto-oligosaccharides, aka galactans, which are found in legumes and soy products, and then polyols, which are found in a ton of fruit and veg like blackberries, cauliflower, mushrooms, plums, and also in sugar alcohol sweeteners like mannitol and sorbitol.
So my main bugaboos are the fructose, the fructans, and the fructose, the lactose, and the fructans. That's what I was able to figure out on this diet. And I think it's really helpful when you notice that, like when you're keeping your food journal and you notice like, oh, like I'm having an issue with these 3 foods or however many foods. And you're like, this kind of like grouping helps you to see like what these seemingly unrelated foods have in common.
I did a lot of symptom tracking myself in the many weeks leading up to my first meeting with Ali.
Just gotta get a baseline.
So I had already kind of narrowed down the most likely culprits to be vegetables, beans, and possibly some fruit. So because I just knew I honestly did not have the bandwidth to take on more than I needed to, and also I didn't want any extreme restriction to trigger me in any way based on my history with orthorexia, I opted to do a modified low FODMAP elimination, what I kind of call low FODMAP light. So in other words, for me...
Okay, so, girl, if you were so confident in what was causing your issues, then like you wouldn't be having the issues. I think it's super important to like shed all of your preconceived notions about what you think is good for your body and what you think is healthy and what you think you like or what you think your body likes, and fully commit, do a full low FODMAP elimination and see where the data takes you. So if she's not doing the full elimination diet, like I really wonder like what her results are going to be like.
I decided that I wasn't going to fuss too much about having some wheat or dairy in my diet, and I was going to focus on what I was more confident was causing the issues. Honestly, I'm running on like 4 hours of nightly sleep trying to work with 2 kids during legit pandemic.
Okay, so even if you eat perfectly and like you're not eating anything that will trigger your symptoms, sleep deprivation is going to cause digestive issues for people with IBS and people with digestive issues. Just putting that out there.
Would probably have been a slippery slope for me and my mental health if I had to give up ice cream and regular pasta in addition to some of my go-to staples.
Girl, you're having digestive issues and you're not willing to give up ice cream and like wheat and dairy, which are like super common things that cause digestive issues in people. Like, no, this is not going to work. Like, you can't eliminate ice cream for a few months. Like, sugar is not food, you guys. It is a drug. One of the main reasons she's probably having issues is that her microbiome is all jacked up, right? So you need to feed your microbiome the proper foods in order to cultivate a healthy microbiome. If you're eating sugar, like through ice cream, you are going to be feeding the pathogenic bacteria that are causing gas and bloating, right? So she's trying to eliminate foods that have excess sugars that are feeding these bacteria, but she's not going to eliminate actual sugar. That makes no sense. No sense at all.
Vegetables. I also want to make it super clear that the low FODMAP diet is kind of a misnomer because you're not supposed to do phase 1 for your life. This should also not be used as a weight loss diet. I know that I've heard of a lot of folks using the rigidity of the low FODMAP diet to kind of mask or disguise disordered eating or to justify extreme caloric restriction. So this is why I really do urge you to approach this with professional supervision and also with the mindset that this is just a temporary test. I repeat, it's a test, not a long-term diet.
I like half disagree with this statement because yes, like phases 1 and 2, elimination and reintroduction are not long-term, right? But you are going to use the data that you are collecting in these 2 phases to implement in the 3rd phase, which is the like personalization, like maintenance diet, right? And that is long term. Like that is like, it's a lifestyle change what you're doing. And like I've been in my maintenance phase, like my personalized maintenance low FODMAP diet for 5 years now, and I feel the best I've ever felt. I do see what she's saying about this diet possibly triggering orthorexia in people, which is like when people are like super like restrictive and like weird about their foods. And yeah, that can happen if you get stuck in the elimination phase. That's definitely a thing. You have to go through your reintroductions so that you can get to phase 3. You do not want to stay in the elimination phase. It's super important that you do your reintroductions.
The goal here is to get to the other side with a very clear indication of exactly which foods cause you trouble and exactly how much you can tolerate, so that hopefully you don't need to actually eliminate much in the long run. Okay, so how does this work? Phase 1, the elimination. This involves eating only low FODMAP foods or moderate FODMAP foods in the quantities that render them essentially low FODMAP. The first phase here generally takes around 2 to 6 weeks to get complete resolution of your symptoms before you can move on to phase 2. Now, if I were to give you any suggestions based on my experience, it would be to do your grocery shopping after you have your plan in place, because I ended up with a lot of things in my fridge that I wasn't supposed to eat.
I'm annoyed I didn't think about this before I got my groceries today, but cashew milk is high FODMAP and soy milk is high FODMAP. So probably should have bought almond milk this week.
No. Okay. All right. I know like lactose is an issue on the low FODMAP diet, but like you can't just be swapping it out for this stuff. When you are taking a plant and you are processing it into something that it is not meant to be, like that's highly processed, like that's garbage. And a lot of these plant milks, they have gums and like thickeners, emulsifiers, and like carrageenan and all kinds like preservatives also in these that like are terrible for your gut lining and for your microbiome. So it concerns me that she is a registered dietitian and does not know this.
I guess I'm going shopping again.
And I did, which also meant I need to do a proper taste test of 3 different almond milks to determine the best one for my ritualistic morning latte. Honestly, I already felt like I was giving up so much, so I wanted to make sure that my coffee still was an enjoyable part of my day.
If you're having so many digestive issues that you are like, oh, I'm going to do this really intense restrictive diet, you should be eliminating coffee too. Coffee and caffeine in general is a gut irritant. like this is ridiculous. Like you're going to be restricting like random like vegetables and like natural whole foods, but not eliminating the thing that is a known gut irritant. That makes no sense.
Even if it meant spending a little bit more on non-dairy milk that week.
Approved.
That's a 10.
So yeah, the first few days were really hard because I had a lot of high FODMAP foods still in the fridge that I am kind of just used to basically popping in my mouth whenever I want. So it was definitely an exercise in more mindful eating.
Reason number 529 why this is a challenge for me, as I'm like cleaning up my kid's dinner plate and like putting his scraps into the garbage. Like it's just my inherent instinct to just like pop random pieces of his leftovers in my mouth, a lot of which were probably not low FODMAPs. So I need to be a lot more mindful
Mom diet
about that, probably in general, but I think that's something that a lot of moms probably do.
Yeah.
I also felt like telling myself not to eat something was just a setup for making me want it even more, obviously.
Classic diet mentality right here, except for with vegetables. I know I'm not supposed to have a lot of broccoli right now, and I have this cooked, delicious looking broccoli that I made for my son staring at me, and I just want to eat it so badly.
All right, so that's true. Like, it's not a good mindset to have, to be focusing on the things that you are eliminating and that you're not supposed to have. Instead, it's better to come at this from a positive mindset and focus on the things that you can have. And you have a list of things that you can have, so you can very easily navigate this journey.
But to do this properly without feeling deprived, I knew that I had to dedicate extra time to home cooking.
So true. All the recipes on my channel, I feel like I specifically chose recipes for you guys that would make you not feel deprived. Like, the recipes on my channel are not like cardboard diet food. There is a lot that you can have on this diet. And maybe she should have watched some of my videos before she did this.
And food prep. So I put all the low FODMAP veggies on my shopping list, and I got shopping.
So bell pepper and cucumber, not my favorite vegetables of all time, but they are low FODMAP. So I did purchase a bunch, and I'm gonna chop them up and get them ready for just like grab and go options. And that way I'm not like just kind of mindlessly reaching for a piece of like broccoli or cauliflower or something else that's being prepared in the fridge for my son. I've got some options that are ready to go and also a little bit easier on the gut for me.
No.
I gotta say, bell peppers used to not be my favorite, but they're growing on me.
Don't eat them
raw,
raw, girl.
I had some hummus for dipping.
You can have 2 tablespoons of hummus on the low FODMAP diet. Just make it yourself.
My dietitian and I agreed to limit my raw veggie and salad intake to no more than 1 raw veggie dish a day.
Raw vegetables are hard to digest, which is why you don't see any salad recipes on my channel. Cooking your vegetables makes them easier. It helps to break down the cell walls, and it makes it easier to digest. So I don't know why she's trying to work against her body.
Made obviously with low FODMAP veggies. So I would be eating basically most of my vegetables cooked. And that meant a lot of meal prep.
True. Looks pretty good.
We did fennel today, folks. Roasted fennel.
I feel like
balsamic
fennel
and olive oil. So good. I totally forgot I actually liked fennel. I forgot all about fennel. So this is actually,
I feel like fennel bulbs are still like moderately high FODMAP. I mean, I'm not sure about that, but that's, I mean, after doing this for so long, my instincts are being like, fennel, really? I'm not sure.
good. It's actually kind of reintroducing me to some long lost veggies and fruit that maybe I'd kind of forgotten about. So this is kind of a good thing.
I agree. So my sister, when she did this diet, she was like super picky beforehand. And then when she was told like, oh, you can't eat all of this stuff, it actually gave her the incentive to try a lot of things that she had never tried. And she ended up finding a lot of different things that she loved.
Worth the loss of potential taste buds.
I also had to eliminate legumes, which are a huge staple in my diet. So that did mean relying on more animal protein during these weeks, which I just kind of had to be okay with.
Why are you not okay with animal protein, Abby? Like, animal protein is great. There's no carbohydrates in there, so it's completely low FODMAP. And humans are omnivores. Like, we evolved eating animal protein. It's the most nutritious thing that there is. So I don't understand like why she's just gonna have to be okay with that.
Tofu is low FODMAP, so I did eat a lot of that, but basically most other.
Okay, this is this is what I was saying about the processed foods. Like, tofu is far more processed than meat, so I don't know about that.
Other plant-based sources of protein are not. So I definitely would imagine that this phase of the diet would be extra challenging for some of my plant-based friends. I also relied a lot on my FODMAP products for adding flavor without having to make everything from scratch.
Okay, let me go back to that. For her plant-based friends, it's gonna be difficult. I briefly touched on this in my Monash FODMAP update video, how a lot of people can become victims of health culture and diet culture because people are taught that like big salads and big bowls of like vegetables or big plates of vegetables are what's healthy, and like it can actually mess up a lot of people with IBS because it's hard to digest. Like think about it. We had to develop like the knowledge over like thousands of years of like what plants that we could eat, because most plants are poisonous. We had to figure out which plants we could eat, what parts of those plants we could eat, and when they were ripe. I do not think veganism is a great thing. Like vegetarianism, maybe, like if you eat like eggs and cheese at least, like you need animal products, you need animal protein. Like we are omnivores.
So many prepared sauces and dips and seasonings contain onions and garlic and other FODMAPs. I mean, like everything has onion and garlic in it.
It's true. So when I started this diet and I had to eliminate garlic and onion, everything like pre-made has garlic and onion in it. Like having to eliminate that, I had to by default cook all of my own food. And that is how I came to the realization that it's really the processed food that is a huge problem.
So it was a huge relief to be able to have some ready-made options and snacks that I could just rely on to get me through this first elimination phase.
In a pinch.
I also
Sure.
knew that I couldn't go months without ordering some takeout in, so I found basically the lowest possible FODMAP options during those weeks, and I gave myself the flexibility and the grace to do just that. In some cases, it would mean going for some of the less healthy takeout options, but honestly, it really did not matter at all to me, as I totally just needed some relief from the monotony of roasted low FODMAP veg. Just saying. But alas, I survived, and for the most part, I tried to make meals that were both satiating and satisfying so that I didn't feel deprived.
You know what's the most satiating food? Protein. Animal protein.
Here are some of the things that I ate.
That looks pretty good. I couldn't eat that. It's a lot of veggies, like. Yeah, she's still eating.
But
like,
I
wheat
also
and
had
dairy.
some hard days where honestly I just kind of wanted to go eat a tub of hummus and totally give up. And I think that was a really good reminder to me as a healthcare professional just how challenging some of these major diet changes can be for people, and how much empathy we need to have as clinicians for those who take them on.
So I'm having a bit of a rough day today. I don't know what it is, if it's just, I was up really early this morning and I didn't sleep well, and
Sleep's important.
I just feel so exhausted and overwhelmed trying to do so much meal prep. Like honestly, it's like all I do is cook vegetables and I don't know, I just feel like,
I mean, maybe she wouldn't have such a hard time like if she ate a little bit more animal protein and like some like grains, like just like some. Beans and vegetables seem like what she likes to eat most, and like that seems like what's giving her problems. And I mean, while I do have like empathy for her, like she's trying to make the rules, and I tell all my clients this, like I don't make the rules, you don't make the rules, your body makes the rules. So, and this diet is supposed to be a tool to help you figure out what your body actually wants. And she's still trying to like just control it.
I'm worried that I'm going to have to do this for the rest of my life, or choose between being comfortable and being overwhelmed. So yeah, and I mean, if I'm struggling with this, I can't imagine how everyone else feels who, don't have the nutrition knowledge base that I have. Not to mention, I'm not even doing this full out. I'm doing like a low FODMAP, like a mini low FODMAP.
Well, yeah, that's probably why she still feels like crap.
I have so much empathy for anyone who's dealing with digestive issues and attempting to balance motherhood or parenthood and work and this very restrictive elimination phase.
Okay, so that's another thing. Like, if you are having digestive issues, like that is going to also affect your sleep, and it's going to affect your stress levels and how you handle that stress and your anxiety and stuff. So, like, I really wish she just had fully committed to the low FODMAP diet and eliminated all the things that she was supposed to eliminate. Because honestly, it would have been, we would have better data. She would have better data. And like, I don't want her to feel terrible. I don't want her to like feel bloated all the time and like have to choose between feeling overwhelmed and like feeling good. It just kind of feels like she's doing this all for nothing.
Rough. So I'm literally counting down the hours until my next appointment with my dietitian so that I can hopefully get to the bottom of what I can ease up on a little bit. So maybe to make it a little bit easier for me.
But I will say that the silver lining was that I was reminded of my love for some fruits and vegetables that I had totally neglected or basically forgotten about over the years.
I used to really hate cantaloupe. I saw it as like the runt of the fruit salad that nobody wanted.
True.
The filler, you know?
Nobody
It is
wants
the
that.
filler. Like
Cantaloupe and honeydew.
People at restaurants always pack their fruit salads full of cantaloupe and honeydew melon because it's cheap. And then they don't have to give you as many the good things like berries. But I'm starting to appreciate the old cantaloupe. It's sweet and it's juicy and it's cold and refreshing. And it's low FODMAP. I have a new love. All right, let's talk about what I learned in phase 2. Number 1, I do not really like cooked bell peppers. Hard pass from me. I also don't love eggplant at all, unless I would say it's like breaded, pan fried, and loaded with cheese. So,
I wonder if she tried baba ganoush.
I am obsessed with parsnips and carrots. I guess I totally forgot about parsnips somehow, and I've been eating.
That's like one of the things my sister found that she like loves now, carrots and parsnips. She's all about it.
Eating an exorbitant amount of carrots because it's probably one of the only low FODMAP vegetables that I actually really like. So much so that my hands are even more orange than normal. And no, there's nothing wrong with me. This is just like a genetic situation and it's totally benign. It's nothing that you need to worry about.
That's so weird because I was watching a couple of her videos yesterday in preparation for this. And I noticed that her hands were orange. And I was like, what is that, girl? Is that like tanner? But she doesn't look very tan. So, that's so weird. I never knew that was a thing. Interesting.
3, I desperately miss broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and cabbage and all those sulfurous vegetables.
I miss Brussels sprouts
which I know
too.
is such a geeky dietitian thing to be even talking about because it's like it's not that I miss ice cream and bread. I
She's
miss
still eating ice cream
vegetables,
and bread.
specifically
Duh.
vegetables that stink. So yeah, I do miss a good Brussels sprout. 4, yeah, the big one is really that I think like before, if my symptoms were like an 8 or 9, now they're maybe more like a 4 or 5, which is significant. That's a significant improvement.
Good, I'm glad.
But I know like at the start of this, I guess I had some pretty lofty expectations just based on
She might have had better results had she cut out, if she had done like a full elimination diet. Just saying.
everything that people had said to me, and that, you know, I read so many people's success stories saying that, oh, you know, they completely got rid of all of their symptoms and you know, they're bloating, they lost 5 inches in like 2 weeks because of all the bloating that just magically went away. Not a fart in the world and stuff. So it's like, yeah, that has not been my experience.
You didn't completely do the diet. Like, what do you think is going to happen? I did the low FODMAP diet and the full way, and yeah, it completely changed my health, so much so that, like, honestly, I haven't like shared my full story with you guys yet on this channel because it's hard to do. Like, it completely changed my digestive health, so much so that I decided to go back to school to become a nutritionist and to start this channel to help other people, because like my digestive issues were so severe. Yeah, this diet literally changed my life. I would not be here right now if it wasn't for this diet. That's why I believe in it so much. And it kind of pisses me off, honestly, that she didn't fully do the elimination phase. And then she's just like complaining how she didn't get the best results. What do you think was going to happen?
First of all, I never really cared about the kind of bloating situation and the aesthetics of it, but I definitely still have significant pain and some discomfort and gas and things like that. So it's not like all my symptoms are gone. And it really comes down to how rushed and stressed and exhausted I am feeling at that time of the meal. I think that's really what determines how it's gonna go.
I have covered this before in my on my channel. I think it was my top tips for improving IBS. It is very important for you to sit down, take a breath, and activate your rest and digest system when you eat to make sure that you are not going to have indigestion. Because if you're running around and you're super stressed while you're eating, you're going to cause indigestion no matter what you eat. So, and like I said, like my channel goes beyond the low FODMAP diet because the low FODMAP diet is just one portion of it.
I'm kind of disappointed that it's probably all, this is as good as it's gonna get, but I guess it's better than it was. So let's move on to stage 2.
Next is phase 2, the reintroduction. So this phase can take a while, usually 2 to 3 months or so. And again, I did a bit of an abbreviated version because I can't spend 6 months of my already overflowing life thinking about every single food I pop in my mouth. But essentially, Allie had me
The 6 months were a waste then, though.
introduce a few different foods from each FODMAP category and introduce them over 3 days in gradually increasing serving sizes.
Yes.
This way we could catch when symptoms started to kind of flare up so that we would know exactly which foods and how much were an issue for me. So I went through the list of foods we agreed on and made very detailed notes on how each of them made me feel. Now, I have to say, it was a huge relief to be able to have a little bit more flexibility in my diet. Adding in small quantities of the foods that I hadn't had in a while felt so glorious.
The reintroduction phase can be fun, yeah.
Like pear, for example, is kind of in season right now, and it was so nice to have a little bit with my breakfast. And cabbage, I missed cabbage. So yeah, the reintroduction phase was...
You can have a little bit of cabbage on the low FODMAP diet. You can have 3/4 of a cup. So maybe she was misinformed. I don't know.
strangely fun.
So today is the last day of my cauliflower trial, and I have to tell you, I am so nervous because I love cauliflower, and I'm just gonna be really disappointed and sad to feel like I need to give it up or at least be cautious about it. I know this is the whole point of doing a low FODMAP trial here, is to get to the bottom of the exact foods that cause some digestive issues, but I'm just not ready to feel like this is the one.
You're not ready to feel better, Abby? What the heck?
I know, that's so sad.
Yeah, sad.
It could be worse. It could be ice cream. It could be chocolate. It could be coffee. It could be honey. What a weird thing I just did. Who sniffs? Who opens up a container of cauliflower and gives her a good whiff?
Yeah, what a weirdo.
It's funny because as I do this, it's like I'm expecting this napalm bomb to go off in my gut, when obviously that's not how it happens. But
just wait. If you eat that whole thing of cauliflower.
So I was feeling pretty good having the cauliflower all on its own, but then as the day went on and I had some...
Did she eat that entire bowl of cauliflower? That's too much, Abby.
So I was feeling pretty good having the cauliflower all on its own, but then as the day went on and I had some other vegetables and some other, foods that maybe had some small trace amounts of FODMAPs in it, and basically what ended up happening was some FODMAP stacking. And I think that is where I run into issues. So I guess what I've learned from this is that a cauliflower dish on its own is probably no big deal. But if I'm going to have cauliflower and a little bit of broccoli and maybe some green beans and maybe a little bit of lettuce, I might feel a little bit bloated and...
Okay. So, hold on.
Gassy after that. So all good data and all good information that I can keep in my back pocket for future meal plans.
Okay, so it is so bizarre to me that she's going to be eating the cauliflower, which is high FODMAP, but then she's not going to like recognize that that's what's causing her symptoms. It's all the other little, like the lower FODMAP foods throughout the day. Like, I do think she's eating like a lot of veggies, and like I know that seems weird for me to say. Like, I have nothing against veggies, but like they are hard to digest. And she's having digestive issues. Like, but it's so weird that she's like, she doesn't want it to be cauliflower so bad that she's just like blaming it on the lower FODMAP foods instead of the obvious high FODMAP food.
Alas, the show must go on.
Oof, garlic and onion day. Woo.
All right.
That's a lot of
This is what I've
chickpeas.
learned on phase 2. It seems like the polyols, fructans, and galactans, thanks Poppy, are my biggest triggers.
Abby. Fructans are wheat. Like, you can't, like, you're saying that you have a problem with fructans and then you didn't eliminate wheat? Like, that's why you should have eliminated it. Probably would have felt better.
And a lot of the times they're fine in small amounts or even like large amounts, but it's when I start getting into like FODMAP stacking throughout the day.
This is exactly what I'm saying.
Basically, like little bits of like low or moderate FODMAP foods start to build up as the day goes on. That's when I end up having issues.
See, but it's not, but she's like trying to say that it's the combination of all the lower FODMAP things and not the obvious high FODMAP thing that she ate. I don't know, man.
I also find that I can tolerate those foods a lot better at like breakfast or lunch or like earlier on in the day than I can at dinner time, because dinner time in my house is witching hour. And parents with young children can probably appreciate that eating with a toddler and a baby is hella stressful. So if you find that your IBS is
don't know
triggered
anything
by
about
stress,
that.
I don't know. That's a challenging time to be eating.
Stress is
but I am
a very big trigger.
big on family meals. I totally believe that they're so important because of all the research, and I really think that modeling healthy eating behaviors to my kids is probably a bigger priority to me than my digestion.
How are you supposed to model healthy eating behaviors if you are continuing to choose eating things that are causing you digestive issues? That makes no sense to me.
So it's definitely a bit of a give and take, and just something that I'm going to have to balance probably for the next unforeseeable future with young children. All right, signing out, time for phase 3.
Now, finally, phase 3, personalization. So this is basically coming to terms with a unique understanding of what I can now tolerate and in what amount. Ideally, for most clients with IBS, you should now no longer need to restrict anything other than the few foods in the specific quantities or amounts that cause you symptoms. So that may mean that I can have a little bit of broccoli or a little bit of cauliflower, but probably not an entire whole bowl full. And ideally also not with other moderate FODMAP foods if we want to kind of avoid some of those FODMAP stacking effects that we saw. So
Yeah, so for me, like I used to eat plates full of asparagus and it was causing me so many issues. You guys probably know that you can have half a spear of asparagus on the low FODMAP diet. That's the low FODMAP serving, which is kind of ridiculous. Like you end up just like not eating asparagus at all. So now that my gut has healed up a bit, I can have probably like 5 spears of asparagus and be fine, but I would never eat a plate full of asparagus again because it's just too difficult on the digestive tract. That is how you're meant to implement all the knowledge that you've gained.
FODMAP isn't a diet. It's a process that gives you some insight to inform your food choices long term.
Okay, so what does this mean for me? Like, am I never going to have a dish with cauliflower or broccoli in it again? No, of course I am. But just based on some of the data that I collected from this experience, you know, and knowing that my symptoms, my gas and bloating tend to be worse at kind of like family meals at the end of the day rather than earlier on in the day when I eat alone, I might choose to save that broccoli or cauliflower for like a leisurely date night out. That is, if I ever get to leave the house without my children ever again. But I also might choose to like keep tabs on some of the smaller FODMAP sources that I eat throughout the day, just based on my experience that I had with FODMAP stacking. And if I want to just kind of forget about all those learnings and data and say, F it, give me a whole dish of roasted cauliflower, then I might just have to sleep in the guest room that night. I don't know. But as for like the chickpeas and beans,
I agree with that. Like, no one's trying to tell you what to do and what to eat, but we're just trying to show you that like choices and actions have consequences. And so like if you know which foods are going to cause you symptoms, then you can make better choices and not be afraid of food.
and things like that. That one is the hardest for me to come to terms with, just because I worked so hard to transition my diet to more of like a flexitarian style diet for environmental reasons. But Allie did give me
What? Okay. So she's having digestive issues and she's like trying to make herself like eat a certain way, like with a lot of like beans and legumes and like non-animal proteins, because she thinks it's better for the environment, which isn't actually true. Instead of actually listening to her body and giving it what it needs. That's insanity to me.
a really good tip. She said if I rinse beans really, really well, then I of course cook them, then I cool them, and then I rinse them again, that can help to remove some of the problematic oligosaccharides that give them their magical fruit status.
Okay, so we've talked about this many times on this channel, which is why I recommend canned beans, because they're pre-cooked, which is easier, but also while they're sitting in that can in the water, it's going to leach out the FODMAPs, because FODMAPs are water soluble. And so canned beans are actually lower FODMAP than fresh beans. So maybe that's a tip for you, Abby, since you love beans so much.
But yeah, basically this is all just data, and I can choose to do what I want with it when the time comes. I also figure I should chat about whether or not this experience was triggering for me, coming from a history of disordered eating and orthorexia. Thankfully, I do think that I had a few things working in my favor that really helped me prevent getting into scarcity mentality. So first of all was that I only eliminated the foods that I was pretty confident were potential culprits based on some of the kind of diet recall and tracking that I was doing ahead of time. So this allowed me to still have a lot of my favorite fun foods like pizza and pasta and ice cream and things like that. So I could still participate in family meals and have fun, and I didn't feel so deprived. So doing a modified low FODMAP trial like that, where you're really only focusing on removing some of the major culprits and the most common culprits, is definitely recommended if you have a history of disordered eating or disordered eating tendencies. The second
It's like really weird. Like, it seems like she's doing like mental gymnastics in order to justify eating things that are like, that are very common, like triggers for people and like not good for you. Like, sugar is not good for your microbiome. Like, it's just not. It's not food, it's a drug.
Second thing I did was that I was really prepared. So doing a lot of meal prep ahead of time every single week ensured that the default was that I always had something acceptable to eat in the fridge,
100%
rather than the
agree.
default being that I just wasn't going to eat. And 3 was definitely that I had the support of another dietitian. I cannot stress enough how important it is to work through this diet with a professional, with a registered dietitian, because this is not simple. If I needed that support, and this is my job, I definitely recommend it for all of you at home who are considering doing a low FODMAP trial.
So I hope this gave you a bit of perspective on what the low FODMAP diet trial process looks like, and also helped to clear up the misconception that low FODMAP is some kind of weight loss diet, or even a diet that you stay on for the rest of your life. And on that note, thank you again to Foddy Foods for sponsoring this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it the...
All right, we're pretty much done here. All right, my thoughts on this. It just seems like she has such deep programming of like what is healthy, and you know, that being like not a lot of animal protein, which I've said many times is not true. Like lots of legumes and vegetables, like that those are the healthiest things, and like they are hard to digest. And like she's causing her own digestive issues by what she's choosing to eat. And like it makes me sad for her. It really does. And like I feel like her mentality was just like in the wrong place. Like focusing so much on what she couldn't have and making it so complicated when it's very simple. Like choose an animal protein, choose a starch, like either quinoa, white rice, white potatoes, like in a moderate amount, and like sometimes a gluten-free pasta or sometimes a gluten-free bread, because those things are processed. Mix that with a leafy green that you have quickly wilted on the stove, like either like spinach, kale, collard greens, like whatever. There are no FODMAPs in leafy greens. Like throw some fresh herbs on there, and then throw in a couple of low FODMAP vegetables like carrots, bell peppers, whatever. And then if you're feeling crazy, you can add a high FODMAP vegetable, like in a low FODMAP serving size, like 2 Brussels sprouts or 3/4 of a cup of broccoli, which is plenty of broccoli. So, and then to flavor it, you've got all the herbs. You've got a ton of spices you can use. You can use garlic oil. You can use lemon. You can use all kinds of stuff. Like this diet is not as restrictive as she's making it out to be. It's just not that hard. And it makes me sad that so many people probably watched this video and probably put them off even trying this when it could be such a great thing for them. Oh, man. Yeah. And it's interesting to me how she mentioned kind of doing a keeping track of what she's eating and her symptoms, but she didn't really like go in too deep with that. And I know it's kind of difficult and like personal, but a food journal is super important when you're going through the low FODMAP diet. And I'm actually going to be back in January with a video for you guys on how to keep a food journal so you can kick off the new year right, trying the low FODMAP diet and really, transforming your gut health through diet and lifestyle modification, because that's what it's all about. I don't know. I just feel like she made this so complicated. It didn't need to be that way. And like, she didn't even fully do it. So like, I don't know what she's displaying to you guys, like how to do the low FODMAP diet wrong, I guess. I don't know. And how to like not have like the best results. I don't know. But take it from me, like I did the low FODMAP diet the proper way, and I know exactly what I can eat, exactly what I can't. I don't get bloated. I have no digestive issues. And yeah, this diet changed my life. It's the best thing that ever happened to me, which is why I decided to become a nutritionist, which is why I decided to make this channel. I really just want to help you. I want to help people because I know how transformational this can be. Like I've been making these videos and I've been making low FODMAP recipe tutorials for you guys for about 3 years, and I haven't gotten a single dime on it because I really just want to help you guys so much. And if you guys appreciate what I do, please, please become a supporter of this channel on my Patreon. I will link it below for you guys, because I really do want to be able to keep doing this for you guys. And we're close to being monetized also, which would really help me to make more videos for you guys. So please subscribe to this channel. Please like this video and send my videos to people who are always complaining of stomach issues. They should really try this diet. Honestly, they should. And it is not this complicated. I swear to you, it's not. So I guess as a follow-up to this video, we're going to do the how to keep a food journal video. And I'm going to take you guys and do a through my day and show you what I eat in a day on the low FODMAP diet and my simple strategy for whipping up quick meals on the fly that are completely low FODMAP, and to show you how simple it is. So yeah, I don't know. Abby, I'm again, like, I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're feeling okay, but girl, like, eat some meat, please. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this style of video. Let me know in the comments below if you did or did not. I thought it was fun to kind of go through this, and this was really interesting to see. If you guys like it, maybe we'll go through some other people's experience on YouTube that have tried this diet. maybe. I don't know. That could be cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys next time.